What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, guardians of all ages, Joker back again once again. So the other day, the European Dead Zone was unveiled, and with it, tons and tons and tons and tons of videos for the world to see. It was almost exhausting going through all of them. And if watching people play the European Dead Zone is any indication of actually playing the European Dead Zone, it's gonna get boring really quick. But they say it helps when you start with the good stuff. So there was some good stuff. In the gameplay that we've been shown, there always seems to be something to do. There's a high value target spawning in, there's enemies moving against each other, there are public events that can be turned into heroic public events, there's lost sectors, and there are adventures which seem to be these really sizable looking side quests to complete. And, in my opinion, the areas that we were shown are just beautiful to look at. The European Dead Zone areas are, well, the European Dead Zone areas. We're already kind of familiar with them from Destiny 1, thanks to multiplayer maps like Widow's Court and Memento. And I imagine that most of this playable space follows that same design language. And that's kind of eh. But there was this one area that people were walking through that was this kind of swampy, dark, purplish lit, where shards of the Traveler were kind of radiating, pulsing light to light the area. And I thought it was really well done. It was really magical. It was really new and alien and interesting. They showed off this new reputation system, and pretty much everything you do will grant you EXP, Glimmer, and Planetary tokens. These tokens can be turned in for rewards with their matching vendors, and the rewards seem to be legendary in quality. Also, every time you level up after level 20 or whatever the max level is, it seems like you get what's called a bright engram. I'm gonna assume that this engram is tied to its own loot and hope that that loot is legendary in quality. So this essentially gives players a reason to keep grinding in these areas after they've leveled up past the area's level and done all the quests and done all the side missions and done all the patrols and beacons and yada yada yada, provided that the gear that the vendors have is worth it. So, bravo Bungie, bravo. All of that fucking said, does Bungie only know how to design one style of world map? Just one large circle that you kind of drive around in, and if you turn left enough, you'll eventually get to where you're going? Like, come the fuck on. Would maybe a square, you know? Maybe like quadrants? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe something that's like a little perpendicular, asymmetrical. I don't know. But it's always a giant circle. You can drive from the start point and just take lefts and a left turn and a left turn and a left turn and a left turn. You take another left turn and you'll eventually get there. It's like watching NASCAR. It's so fucking boring. And to be fair, the European Dead Zone does look huge. But the real question is, how much of that is just set dressing? You know, the stuff that you look at, that sets the mood, that boxes you in, but ultimately does nothing more than serve as window dressing as you drive from left turn to left turn looking for the real explorable content. And that really does matter. You can say that the European Dead Zone is the biggest map we've ever created, but if it's all set dressing, that doesn't fucking matter. Moving right along, that brings us to lost sectors and adventures. They seem like a great idea, but they also seem like that one and done kind of idea. Like, we have no idea what the cooldowns on lost sectors is, if there even is one, and I doubt adventures will be replayable. So, once you've completed all the lost sectors and all the adventures for the first and possibly only time, that just leaves patrols and public events and the weekly to grind for each destination. That's not to say that there's not going to be plenty of content, but is it enough to get from launch to December? Or from December to next spring? Who knows? My suggestion would be to periodically during events or during DLC, add more adventures to these spaces within the worlds. I mean, I'm sure that's going to be something that they do for DLC, but I would just do it periodically to keep things fresh. I mean, what's the live team doing anyways? And that brings us to the storytelling in the European Dead Zone with the adventures. And it's exactly what I thought it would be. It's just, you go here, you scan a thing or kill a dude or finish a quest, and as you're doing it, you get narration. Narration as you're fighting enemies. Now, sure, these could end with cinematics, we didn't see that, fine. But it's really, really easy to miss story parts when you're in combat. This was a huge issue people had with the scannables in Taken King.
This matches an image I collected from the world's trade. A dreadnought. They don't exist in our system. I'll mark it for transmit to the Vanguard. Hope we get a signal.
If only there was some kind of mechanic that games had, like an in-game, it keeps all the story and the dialogue and you can go back and read through it. Fuck, what is it, Escape, a codex? An in-game codex that records all of this? That'd be great. Please do that. That said, I will throw Bungie a lifeline. I will give them a little bit of rope and hope they don't hang themselves with it. I will dare to have the audacity to make an excuse for Bungie. Dun dun dun! Lightning bolts. I really like the reputation system and the way that's turned out. I think they've implemented a lot of cool things with the open world aspects of Destiny 2. I want to talk about how I don't think that this will have a lot of longevity, and I want to talk about how boring some of the quest stuff really does look. I want to talk about how it looks very formulaic and very reminiscent of how patrols are currently done, and I want to talk about the fact that this was a very controlled environment. And with it being a controlled environment, I initially want to think that they're showing us the best that they have. They're not going to show us the shit. But at the same time, I don't think they're going to show us spoilers or too much as well. So I will give them some credit that what they did show was at least somewhat intriguing and entertaining. That said, it's also the first area of the game, so it is the tutorial area. Fair enough. That said, if every other planet is like this, you will see it in the review. What I currently think is a mixed bag, and we will have to wait till the full game to get full impressions. But if everything's like the European Dead Zone, you will know my opinion. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below, and like always, my fellow Guardians, stay frosty.